Hi everyone, it's me, and today let's respect the important job of being a mortuary assistant together.
Oh, this game squicked me out so much. Y'all probably know by now that I don't do too well with horror games. Then you add onto that demon possession stuff, which I don't even believe in, but it freaks me out anyway, and that...
Yeah, it's very freaky, scary, and kind of, horror.
And then you add on actual, literal handling of dead bodies? Nope, nope, nobody, nope, nope, nope. I'm good. No thank you. Hi, hello. Today we're looking at Mortuary Assistant, a game
Hello Austin, hello.
Where you play as a mortuary assistant. And also there's demons. I don't know what it is about demon stuff, but it gets me going every time. I hate it so much. And you might be wondering to yourself, Austin, why are you talking about a demon possession game on your science series? Well, that's easy. Because while demon possession stuff freaks me out so much, there's actually something far, far scarier to me. OSHA violations. You see, you can treat demon possession using the blood of the possessed, clay tablets that spell the demon's name, and proper disposal of the body the demon has ridden into the mortuary on. Easy peasy, no problem. And you know what? You may even learn something about yourself along the way. Sure, it carries with it the risk of becoming a demon-bound husk for the rest of your life and possibly eternity, but, at least you'll have a little buddy along for the ride with you. But
that doesn't sound pleasant. I'm sorry.
Know what you can't treat easily? Cancer, melted mucus lining, suffocation, blindness, or the worst condition of all, a serious case of death. Because it turns out, my friends, that the real danger posed by Mortuary Assistant isn't demons or even the potentially murderous psychopath that runs the place. No! It's this, the working conditions. And to be even more specific, this. Technical grade 37% formaldehyde.
So we are talking about chemicals today.
I'm gonna be honest, my original idea for a topic on this video was to, try and dispel the existence of demons or whatever in the game by claiming that there was some sort of major neuropsychiatric poisoning going on and that the people in the game were having delusions. And I was gonna hinge all of this around the thing that happens really early on into the game on your training day when some of the chemicals fly across the room, ostensibly because of TM demonic activity. I was gonna be like, oh boy, badly stored chemicals, that's bad news. Looks
Demons make no freaking sense, LL.
like your chemical vapors are giving you really bad visions and delusions. And I was gonna tape up the box, slap on the postage, and ship that bad boy to the YouTube uploader. But after looking into it more, I discovered that the main effects that most of the chemicals used in embalming have on a living, breathing human body aren't really neuropsychiatric. They're physical. Hallucinations, delusions, all these things are kind of not a thing that methanol, formaldehyde, or even glutaraldehyde really have on a person. You see, those three chemicals I mentioned, these three are the three that you use for the embalming process in Mortuary Assistant, and they are, in fact, the chemicals that are used by actual embalmers. And before we get to talking about why the player is probably gonna be dead either way, no matter what happens, let's actually talk a little bit about embalming bodies. And in order to talk about that, we're gonna have to talk about what happens when you die. And I don't mean heaven, hell, afterlife stuff. I mean your body. I do not have answers for the other stuff. So
For me, I know that if I was to die, if you were to die, when people die, those that miss them, those that love them, those that cherish them, treasure them, they'll be heartbroken.
We're gonna skip over the definition of death here because, believe it or not, what's considered dead is not, there's lots of debate and for lots of reasons, and it's not actually important for us today because we're talking about what's done to bodies when they are undeniably and tremendously, what I like to call, super dead. There are about 8 stages of death, but the last 2 are skeletonization and fossilization, which are just not super important to us. And decomposition is something that happens well after a body can be prepared with embalming. So let's just look at the first 5. Pallor mortis, algor mortis, rigor mortis, liver mortis, and putrefaction. You'll
Why is the first 4 mortis, 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 and mortis?
notice the word mortis recurring a lot in these, and it just means like of death.
Oh.
So yeah, you died. That sucks. First thing that happens is, well, all of your muscles relax. It's like the ultimate spa day, death is. That's like every muscle, by the way, just like all of them, including your heart. And without a heart to keep blood pressure up and blood flowing, there's only one force left to act on what remains of your circulatory system: gravity. Gravity grabs your blood and just drags it wherever down is when you die, and you get really pale, hence pallor. Then, or really technically at the same time, really, algor mortis begins. Algor means coldness, which essentially tells you what happens next. Your body temperature, well, it changes. In most places, the human body is warmer than the ambient air temperature, which is why it's called algor. But there are places where the human body is actually colder than the surrounding air, and your temperature will go up with no living hypothalamus and, no operational anything. There's no system in place to conduct thermoregulation, so your body just becomes whatever the temperature of the surrounding air is. Now,
So case in point, it differs from places to places. Like for example, Antarctica, space, deserts, under the oceans. Yeah, you get the point.
Next stage is probably one you have heard before. It's called rigor mortis. Rigor means stiffness, and it's what occurs when the body's cells have burned through all the remaining oxygen and remnant glycogen, and therefore is unable to continue to produce ATP, the energy currency of almost all cells in every animal on Earth. As a result, the cells in your muscles are unable to relax and they seize up. Something worth noting is that a lot of these stages aren't necessarily sequential. The body begins to cool immediately, rigor mortis can kind of start whenever, and pallor mortis basically happens alongside our next step, liver mortis. Liver here means bruise or blue in color, and as all the blood and other stuff settles, it creates what looks like a massive bruise on the lower portions of the person's body, showing up about 2 hours or something after they die. The next thing that happens is putrefaction, and that's when all the body's proteins and stuff start to denature and decay and whatnot. Now, it's around here that a body that can be readily embalmed is usually refrigerated and sent to an embalming place after the doctors and medical examiners have done all their #science stuff to it. Somewhere during these stages after pallor mortis is when you get your bodies in mortuary assistant and begin your work. And for a start, I just have to say, based on what I was reading about embalming in mortuaries, mortuary assistant is actually pretty faithful to how bodies are handled in a mortuary, save for a few things that we will get into. But in order to prepare a body for a funeral, several things have to happen, and I'm gonna try to be as non-gross about this as possible. First,
thank you so much for keeping it non-gross as possible. Thank you. We appreciate it. I know it's a very important job, and respect to the mortuary assistant that's gonna handle my body in the future. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that I will have left a great legacy behind before my passing. A legacy that can benefit human society, humankind, human civilization as a whole. In terms of improvements, growth, development, something positive before I die. Hopeful.
Firstly, the body is washed with antiseptic soap, and then, you gotta drain the body of, there is no better word for this. You gotta drain the body of its fluids. Now, the human body has a tendency to, deflate, for lack of a better term, during the putrefaction stage in particular. So what is next done is that a bunch of stuff gets pumped into the body via the carotid artery. What this stuff is usually formalin, which is a 10% mix of formaldehyde and water, and it sometimes has some methanol and other stuff in it. And honestly, the way these chemicals work is very, very cool. For one thing, they tend to arrest microbial decomposition because they're incredibly toxic. But what's even cooler is how it fixes cells, and this is why we call it a fixing agent. How formalin works precisely is actually very, very difficult to describe, and I'll be honest, I don't even really understand it even after trying to read this entire paper on the subject. But what it essentially does is it takes a protein group and binds it to a nearby nitrogen atom in either another protein or in DNA. And nitrogen bonds really do not like to break. So this new structure of proteins being essentially glued together dramatically slows down the structural degradation of the human body. Although if I had a better budget, this is about the part where I'd start playing ominous music and we'd have a scary looking guy in the background looking all menacing because might be starting to get a little bit of a hint where this stuff's starting to go. Anyway.
Yeah, if you're watching this video, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen to you. It's gonna happen to me. Let's keep this positive and educational, shall we? It's a learning experience, so let's be open-minded. Be thoughtful about it, so thank you.
You pump this stuff up to the brim in the body, and then you drain the organs of their fluids and fill them up with fixatives. Then, you just moisturize the heck out of the body, sew the jaw shut, glue the eyes shut, glue a smile on, put some makeup on to make it look alive, and then BAM! You ship it off to the funeral. You should get it dressed first, and then it can go to the open casket. And it's to this end that I gotta say that Mortuary Assistant actually gets a lot right. They use the right tools, the right chemicals, the right processes. They do simplify it a bunch, sure, but the most unrealistic thing in the game aside from demons is the speed at which cadavers are prepared. In real life, this process takes hours and hours and hours. Best case scenario, a night shift mortuary worker could prepare 2 bodies. But I'm guessing that wouldn't have made like a very fun game or something, I don't know. But it's here that we have to get to the really scary stuff and get to finally touch on why the protagonist of the game, and probably her boss too, are totally freaking doomed to die horrible, painful deaths, no matter how many demons they put away. And it just starts with one simple word: ventilation.
Huh? Wait. Huh? Wait, what?
And let me tell you, that is just the start of the problems here, because I read through all 80 or so pages of the OSHA guidelines on proper embalming space practices, and this place is a freaking disaster and a half!
Wait, why is OSHA involved in this video? Why are you tell me more.
Look. There's no ventilation at all. And I looked. No fan and nothing. You can't even keep the window open. There's no vents. No vents! I even checked in the gurney, yeah? Because, okay, this is actually really neat. Some embalming tables have these little, vents at the bottom that suck air out of the room, but nope! It's just some rickety gurney. And why am I harping on about ventilation so much?
Yeah, why?
Because formaldehyde, and heck, glutaraldehyde too, is freaking dangerous stuff. As little as 0.5 parts per million in the air can irritate the eyes, nose, and throat. 10 or more can create difficulty breathing, and much more than 20 can just straight up kill you by simultaneously suffocating you and damaging your lungs so bad that they can't get enough oxygen, which
Wait, isn't that both suffocation?
I now realize technically is another form of suffocation, but whatever! Because of the acute dangers formaldehyde fumes pose humans, OSHA recommends 12 full atmospheric changes per hour. That means every 5 minutes, the air that you're breathing has to become completely new air from what it was 5 minutes prior. And look, there's no ventilation. And look at this, tactical grade, did I just say it's tactical grade formaldehyde? Tactical formaldehyde!
What?
Anyway, it's
I'm just glad that Austin actually included such a silly, funny, foolish joke in a really serious topic. So thank you so much for a quick pause to this all. It's serious. A joke?
technical grade formaldehyde, which is 37% in concentration and is 100% going to be putting out a lot of fumes. And oh, by the way, if it touches your skin, it can literally turn your skin into leather, so you should be wearing gloves while handling this, which, by the way, nobody in this whole freaking game is. Nobody. Not a single person. No gloves, no rubber apron, no ventilation, no eye protection. If a single drop gets in there, you're blind. Do you know that? And there's no eye washing station either. What is going on in this place? Even if the concentrations in the air are not significant enough to kill or maim, chronic exposure to low levels of formaldehyde can cause cancer, which usually is considered unideal for human health. But it also can cause a buildup of formaldehyde in your system, which can do all the horrible things that we talked about above, as well as give you nasal tumors. It's bad all the way down, folks. And this being a day-to-day job with tons of exposure, the risk of cancer and other horrible effects skyrockets, including increased incidence of ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, among people who work with embalming bodies. I was gonna list all the OSHA violations that are going on here, but it's like literally all of them. Like no personal protective equipment of any kind, no ventilation, no informative literature on the risks of formaldehyde exposure, no eye washing station. It's quicker to list the things that they are doing right. Which guess this biohazard bin right here, that's some good work.
That's something, I guess.
Good bin. Realistically, the two people working in this place are at severe risk of developing acute and chronic issues from this poor working environment, and I think that is arguably worse than this little demon guy who, like, mostly seems like he is just kind of a prankster. In fact, the dangers associated with embalming are a major reason there's an increasingly large number of people in the United States trying to change the culture around death. You see, embalming became this big practice in the US after Abraham Lincoln's body was toured around the country post-mortem, and it started a trend, like how most celebrities do. And, I mean, at least we don't use arsenic anymore. There is that.
Wait, we used to use arsenic? Humans used to use that?
Risk to the embalmers aside, since they're about to become demon-possessed anyway, formaldehyde seepage is a major public health concern, and there's essentially no way to keep it out of the groundwater long-term. There's just like so many reasons to not be using this stuff, especially with so many ways to be dead these days. There's cremation, aquamation, which is only legal in a few states, unfortunately, which is kind of sucks. Okay. Do we have time? No, I'm gonna explain this. Aquamation is so cool. They like put you in this big tube and fill it with a lye water solution, and then like cook you for hours, and it's like a massive pressure cooker. And what this does is essentially accelerate the decomposition process, and then they can just flush you down the drain, and all that's left is bones. It's only legal in a few states though, so call your congressperson and tell them you want to be pressure cooked if you're into that sort of thing. You know?
Well, I guess the more you know, the more you know. Or we can just go the old-fashioned way of burial with bury under the ground, fire. Just or maybe like who's the Osama bin Laden in under the water, under the ocean? Sea? Yeah.
Oh, you like know something is bad when it's being compared unfavorably to being possessed by a demon. So, yeah, get to fixing up this entire place here, more guy, or I'm gonna have to come down on this entire operation. You hear me? I do not care if it's the 90s. This stuff is not okay. You are literally killing your employees with formaldehyde. Killing them so they don't loose a demon upon the world. That's fine. Just you do you. Sincerely, Austin. And I just have to put out a personal thank you to the people who make this show possible, which of course is you guys watching this, but also my Patreon patrons, and especially these guys: Juan Santa Maria, MadLad616, Miss Kendra, Alan Hagers, EditAmTP, Nicholas Spullinger, Marissa Resnick, Nick Patterson, and Loretta Mazur. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna go do stuff. This was a lot.
Thank you so much for watching this video and paying attention to the important job of being a mortuary assistant. Thank you so much. Well, I hope you find this video very unique and quite educational to watch. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you feel like share us. Down below. Don't forget to follow my channel. I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just the science. The science of. Thanks for watching. Thank you. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Thank you. Subscribe. But to be honest, much respect to all the individuals that have to do this kind of jobs. Much respect.